8 red weeks on Bitcoin in a row is looking pretty probable at this time, and as the minutes go by, it's becoming more and more probable. I'm going to dive into the charts to connect these smaller time frames down to even to the 5-minute structures with highs and lows. We're going to take a look at the weekly open line with the 5-minute chart so you can see where the week opened, and we're going to also check out my trading channels, which are working beautifully right now. The box that I had drawn from my yesterday's live chat that I recorded and uploaded, that has been hit actually twice now. So let's dive into the charts so we can get a feel for what's going on. As a preface though, I still think things could be flighty and floaty, and if you're trading, you might have to take profits rather quickly in up and down type of movements and very short trades. However, if there is an edge, it is looking like the edge is to the downside, but I don't know if it's going to go straight down, and therefore taking profits quickly if you're actively clicking with your money is probably going to be the best bet. So let's dive into the chart and try to get a little bit of edge and direction. Are you ready? Before diving into either the weekly or the lower time frames, I wanted to highlight what we discussed yesterday. And if you want to go ahead and check out the tags for this exact part yesterday when I was talking about this, I think I tagged the video. I'll link you this at the end as well, but you can click this little thing up here that's popping up to see, and you can look at the tags to see this exact part where I was anticipating what would happen. But let's do a quick review of that. Here is... My face is covering this up. I might have to do the top right. Yeah, this is going to be a little smarter. Get myself out of the way. In yesterday's analysis, I mentioned that this juncture here could close. I showed very specifically how it could close up or down, right? And if it closed up, that would simply be one ingredient to have a higher low, this part right there on the daily RSI. It would not guarantee a pump up. However, it would allow Bitcoin to have one ingredient in order to then go up to that 32K area to test that. Making sense so far? However, in that analysis, I also let you know that this exact formation could also play out where it does make that higher low. So this, let me zoom way in here so you can see this. It could still close this tick up. That it's not pointing to it very well. That tick from here to here, this tick, boom, boom, that tick. It could close up and then head down to make lower lows. It could easily happen, and therefore, because price is fairly unpredictable, I can't quite tell what's happening beyond the 1-hour chart. So in that video yesterday, and perhaps even the day before, I've focused on this about compartmentalizing essentially 3 different time frames. So your micro time frames, your shorter time frames, and mid/larger time frames. And I expressed that I can only get a good feel of direction and edge on very, very small time frames. But the shelf life of those moves, at least the way I trade, right? But the shelf life on those moves and that analysis of short time frame is by definition short, right? So if you're going to if you're going to play around with that, you need to be in and out quickly because you can't see what's happening on the larger time frames, right? Beyond that move, will it continue going up or will it head back down? You don't know. You can only tell that the 1-hour oscillation was going to go up, for example. I have stressed that as much, but I want you to realize that we can see that in the daily RSI as well, because we don't know which formation it's going to take. Will it land its higher low, or will it make this other little shape here and bust down through? And that is reminiscent of the idea that I've been stressing the time frames. I can't see beyond the 1-hour chart. I can't feel an edge. I can only feel an edge on this chart. So right now it's looking more and more probable that something like this is going to play out, as opposed to sticking its landing with a higher low, closing that tick up, which it did, and then going up, which it had the ingredients to do that. But since price is floaty, I couldn't see beyond the 1-hour chart. I didn't know if it's going to do something more similar to this or more similar to this. And now if we zoom out, we can see that the probabilities are to the downside as of now. All right, probabilities are drastically to the downside right now. It's not guaranteed, but they are definitely flipping in that direction. As a review from yesterday. Now, if we zoom into the weekly chart, as a base rule of thumb, this rule of thumb isn't perfect, all right? But my understanding of how candles behave is If there is momentum in one direction, at least halfway through that candle, whether it's a daily candle or a weekly candle or whatever, oftentimes whichever way seems more obvious halfway through that candle. So we're roughly so see, there's about 4 days left, roughly half the week. We're roughly halfway through the candle. Things are starting to go dive down to the downside. It's looking much, much more probable from that rule of thumb, which is loosey-goosey. It's not perfect, but it does work pretty well, I'm telling you. Even on the 4-hour candle, it really does. It's from that idea, it's also looking like our direction is down. If you look at some indicators on here, which way are the Stokes facing? Both blue and red, the fast and slow, are down. Which way is the EMA of the weekly RSI? So this is the EMA of the RSI. It's the 12, I think. 12 EMA. It's down. The slope is down. Which way is the slope of the RSI itself on the weekly? It's down, right? So now let's go to the daily. Which way are the stochastics going? Not only do you have both of them slanted down, but you have a lower high. That automatically increases the chance. It's not guaranteed. It could swoop up and go up. But the lower high structure here increases the chance that this gets more momentum to the downside and at least swoops under this white line here. Do you see what I'm saying? So like anywhere you look, the pressure seems a little bit down here. And you just had the 4-hour RSI. This is essentially the golden pocket between this white line and this red line. It fell out of it. So it's probably going to continue its march down here. So the 4-hour, even though this tick is up, that tick is nothing. It fell out of this golden pocket structure, and I think from 3 videos ago, I anticipated this exact thing happening on the 4-hour. And I wish I could. I might leave this in the pinned comment where I said this if I can find it. So if you don't see it there, it's because I couldn't find it. But it was either 2 videos ago or 3 videos ago where I exactly anticipated this happening, and I mentioned, why do you think the 4-hour will bust below it down and outside of this golden pocket or go back into the red zone? And it's the part where I said it's pulling its friend out of the hole, right? And its friend is only halfway up. It might have been 2 videos ago. And it has to wait on the daily. If the 4-hour is getting to a bullish point, but the daily's not ready, the daily is its best friend. Its best friend is way behind. It's going to try to make its best friend catch up, and its way to do that. So the 4-hour and daily are very connected. Like, you should always look at those in tandem, 4-hour and daily charts. If the daily RSI is not ready, but the 4-hour looks ready, well, the 4-hour is going to come back down and make some type of higher low structure, and then try again now that it's back in line or in sync with the daily. Am I making sense? Hopefully, and if you watch my channel regularly, you probably remember me saying that. I use a lot of weird analogies and all that stuff, but it was that recent one, and I'll try to link that video and the exact timestamp in the pinned comment of this video. So that's what's playing out, and remember, I anticipated that as a likelihood. I didn't call it. I didn't say it will happen. I said you might want to look out for that because we can't see beyond the 1-hour chart anyway. And I couldn't tell if that was actually going to happen or not, but I anticipated the strong possibility of that happening. And let's take a look here. So we have a red weekly candle halfway through. The daily candle is way more than halfway through. There are only 6 hours left. If you can see over here on the right-hand side, 6 hours left in that daily candle. See where it's red here? And so the pressure is definitely down. It's definitely down. Now let's go to the very small time frames to see if they agree, and maybe we could get a baby bounce back up to this green line here or not, or if it's going to continue simply going down based off higher low structure. And what do we so I'm on the 5-minute chart. Out of all these oscillations, so 1 oscillation, 2 oscillation, and maybe 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, these oscillations here. So we had a higher low, higher high structure. We had a higher low, higher high structure, but at the pinnacle of this little structure, it ultimately made a high lower than this high. Then the next oscillation up, let me get rid of some of these. Then the next oscillation up, it made a high lower than that high, and that high was lower than that high, and this high was lower than this high. And then you broke low structure, okay? And then on the small time frames, it's breaking low structure, it fell off this cliff. So lower highs, falling off a cliff, pressure's down, right? Now, it did hit my box that I drew. It hit it actually right like an hour or 2. It might have been 3 hours, but after that video, it did hit that box barely, came to test this line perfectly again. And remember, I think from that same video, I mentioned the pulling a friend out of the hole. I said, Bitcoin is going to be floaty. And so what does that mean? It's going to play these lines almost perfectly for quite a while. And look what it's doing. It's playing these lines almost perfectly for quite a while, right? And it's just how these trading channels work. And it works until it doesn't. And I know that sounds stupid. And I know that people who watch my channel a lot, you hear me say that a lot, but it's important to just, the things that work, it's important to always keep them in the front of your mind. This channel, these lines will work until the one time they don't. And then you look for new lines. That's it. That's all we're doing here. So in flighty, floaty price action, using indicators should not, the way I see it, so you don't have to agree with what I'm about to say because trading styles are totally different. You might have totally different strategies. But for me personally, especially ever since I realized that investment firms, hedge funds, all that essentially are linking their high frequency trading algorithms from NASDAQ and SPX over to Bitcoin. It's trading the same, right? So we already kind of know that. But ever since that, when things are a little bit less determined, I started realizing that structural analysis is my primary indicator in specifically flighty, floaty price action. And I lean on that as a primary, and I only use indicators like stochastics, my typical go-tos, when things are flighty my typical go-tos, but when it's flighty floaty stuff, I use those as confirmation of what I'm seeing in the structural analysis. See what I'm saying there? So I'm during these times when things are uncertain, these channels work, folks. Like it is the best. Like I don't know, it's the best thing you could probably be using. And then what I do is I use the typical primary indicators that right now are secondary to me in order to only confirm or add confirmation to what I'm saying. All right. Now, so it looks like the pressure's down on both the small time frames, the mid time frames, and the large time frames. So now that we know that for certain that the pressure is down, are we certain that price can't bump up? No, I'm not saying that, but pressure is definitely down. Therefore, we have an edge to the downside. Following that thought logic there, where are the next two targets? Well, this line and this line. Does price have the habit of going straight down to it? No, it goes at some angle like this, right? Because it's going this way over time with the time axis. So I could probably make a little box there and a little box there for my next two targets. I don't know which one it'll land on, but I would have those there for the idea that, hey, there could be some type of oscillation to the upside, potentially lower high. I would then be on lower high alert and then look for it to continue down until other time frames are saying something else. And so what I'll do here is I will make these little boxes here and just simply go like this, make it parallel, boom, drag it down. So 45-degree angle, something like that. And if you're not for sure if you're doing this right, just make a little projector tool that looks about right, something to that effect. And then what I can do is it could just fly right through there, and it could. So I won't make this too far over because if it dives down, it's going to dive down fast. So I'll probably put it right there, just a little bit over to the right, but not like in the straight line like a trend line. I wouldn't do this. Because if it does hit this bottom box, it'll probably happen a little faster. So I would do something to that effect. And given that this target has been hit from my last video, I could probably erase it. I can just look at this line now. And now let's zoom way into this line and get really micro with this, okay? And let's see if there's any horizontal. Yeah, we've already broken horizontals. Yeah, we Bitcoin lost this horizontal. It lost this horizontal. It lost that horizontal. Yeah, so this is going down. But outside of those horizontals, now that we can on the micro time frame know it's losing horizontals, what about this trading channel? What did it do? Remember what I say, when you find support below true support, it's extremely likely that the next local high is lower than the previous high by quite a shot, right? And it was. And now what is it doing? It's trying to form higher lows, but so this low and that's a higher low, oscillation up, but it also made a lower high. So now here, if you're on micro time frames trying to like see, okay, is it going to try to bust out of here? If this 5-minute candle closes below here, that simply confirms extra that this low is going to be broken to the downside. Because it has a lower high and it's going to form a lower low, so it won't be able to dig itself out of the idea that it found support below the true support And in order to dig yourself out, you have to maintain a higher low structure, regardless of a lower high. So if it gets a lower high and a lower low, it can't dig itself out anymore, and it pretty much it would go down in that case, right? So that candle did just close. So yeah, just closed 30 seconds ago, I guess, while I was talking about it. That is a lower low. So now you have even on the very, very micro time frames, you can say that the edge on the micro time frames is that it won't dig itself out of the idea that it fell below the support here. It's broken. It now has a lower low and a lower high. So whatever happens here, it's probably going to go like this at this point. So now we have congruence to the downside on every time frame. And that's when you want to be trading, when there's agreement among the time frames. So today is the first, and I think from my update from Saturday that I gave out, I mentioned there is no edge right now. I can't see beyond, and I think it might be Tuesday before we see an edge. It actually took until Wednesday. So today we finally have an edge. And so I have a lot of people asking questions about jumping into futures. And I've discussed this a lot, but one among many things that you need to take into consideration is to know when to not trade. Sometimes no trade is the best trade. And today is the first day that you should feel like one would feel comfortable being in positions. And I'm in short positions right now. I'm holding a short position from Ethereum from 3K almost exactly. I think it was 299.98 or something like that. It's like 150% in profit. I'm taking small shorts on. I love trading Cardano. Even though I hate on Cardano, I love trading Cardano. It's so fun, and there's good liquidity on futures. But anyway, so I'm taking small oscillations up and down on Cardano today, just like trying to make my overall goal of $100 a day. Is just to keep practicing, even if I'm not trying to be serious with trading on a certain day. But anyway, today we finally have direction, right? And so hopefully you see the culmination from the weekend. And I'm stressing the compartments, I can only see the 1 hour chart, but right now I can see all three, and it's down. It's down right now. What will the shelf life of that be? I don't know. Will you have little baby bumps in the meantime? Probably, especially when those boxes are hit. You can get, a 3% move up on Bitcoin before it then makes a potential lower low or higher low. We'll have to play it by ear, but I can see all three boxes right now. And the pressure's down, and hopefully, I didn't give you those levels, though, in case you don't have those channels. Let me give you some targets here. So I would be targeting somewhere around 27,850 for this one. That's in the middle, essentially, and the middle of this one is about 26.9. And I don't know how Bitcoin will react when it gets here. All I know right now is that it's extremely likely to hit this box and this line. And the box is here because I don't know at what point it'll hit this line, but it'll probably hit it based off the trajectory. It'll probably hit it in this line. And when it hits there, it's not like I will long here because the pressure's down. I'm not going to take a long necessarily unless I see a higher low structure start happening. But I wouldn't take a long here because I think that it could just bust right through and go straight to this one, right? So what I want to end with is, given that I am getting a lot of questions on YouTube, so outside of the Discord community, which the Discord links to that are in the description section of all my videos, and my Twitter is Cosasverdes with the number 2. And if online communities just aren't your thing because you're somebody who works 14 hours a day and you just can't do it, but you want extra content, you want up to 14 alerts on Bitcoin price and crypto a week, then hit the join button right below this, and another video will pop up describing what you would get if you were to join one of the YouTube tiers. I'm getting a lot of questions about people trading futures, and I want to reiterate two things that I said at the end of yesterday's video. First, don't fund future. If you try it, expect to lose your money. Whatever you put into futures, so you can, like, especially on KuCoin, you can put exactly $100 or exactly $200. Your overall goal, if you're just starting, right, is to not try to make money, because you will lose it. You will lose it, okay, if you're just starting out and you've never practiced. The goal that you should have if you are trying to trade futures, is put in just whatever is a small amount to you. So if you only have 5,000 bucks in crypto, $50 is small to you, right? Okay, so you might be $50, but your goal is, the game you want to play in your head is not to how much money can I make? No, because you're going to lose it. But rather, how many trades can I get in with that first $50 before it's gone? That's the game you want to play. And it's almost like training yourself to run a mile and how fast you can run a mile. The first time you do it, you time yourself, it's a crappy time. So equivalent to that in trading is that first $50, you might lose it in 4 trades, right? And that's like running a 10-minute mile. It sucks. The second time you put 50 bucks in, right, or whatever small, like maybe it's 25 for you, I don't know, but small, like something you don't mind losing, and it's your tuition to the education, right? And a lot of people recommend playing around with test accounts and all that stuff, but my opinion to that is it's better to have real money on the line, so because it's all about emotional training as well. So if you don't, yeah, that's my opinion. But you can do this with a test account as well, like 50 bucks. But the game is, so the next time you put a chunk of 50 in, the game is not to make money with it if you're new. Rather, can I get more than 4 trades in before that $50 is gone? And then after you get 50 to 100 trades under your belt, you will see that $50 will, you'll go longer and longer and longer, and maybe you'll get it up to $2,000 before you then lose it all, because then you start breaking rules, and then you're going to be able to experience the emotional roller coaster, but only having 50 or 25 bucks on the line. And once you get through that process, for me, it took me 6 times. Everything I put in futures, I lost 6 times. And I didn't. And the last 3 times, I finally realized, wait, maybe I should only put $100 in. And technically, I only put $169. And then I got good. It took me 6 times. So that's the game you want to play for all the people. I promise you. And that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to say is, if you are, because I'm getting a ton of comments, if you are looking to try to make money in the bear market and you're new to futures, the second thing is, joining a community. It doesn't have to be mine. Even though I'm kind of selling myself here, because we have live trade leaders, and you can jump on the Discord to literally put on your camera and microphone and ask me questions. Hey, I'm in this trade. Like, where should I put my stops? Like, people ask me that stuff all the time. But joining a community, if you're new to futures, is going to give you fantastic guidance. And so connected to that second thought is like thought 2B is, think about, it's not just how much money you would make by learning it, but it's how much money you won't lose as you learn it. And that, a community could pay for itself just like that. It's the money you don't have to lose in the learning process, as long as you're doing it with guidance. So I'll finish with that, but be safe and realize you will lose. If you're new, whatever you put in the futures, you're going to lose it a few times, and just make sure you accept that, and don't try to hit home runs. Don't try to make a lot of money from it. Rather play that game that I mentioned earlier. How many trades can I get in with $50? You just got Timothy Worldwide. Peace.